All right, let's talk about Marcel Proust's In Search of Lost Time. Yeah, I know, it's famous for being, well, huge. But don't worry, we're not about to summarize all 7 volumes. Think of this more like a treasure hunt. We're diving into this masterpiece to find the massive, life-changing ideas hidden inside. And it all kicks off with a simple taste.
So, let me ask you something. Can a single flavor, just one taste, unlock a part of your past you thought was gone for good? I mean, really think about that for a second. This question, it isn't just a clever hook. It's the engine that drives Proust's entire universe.
Okay, so let's start where Proust starts, with our narrator's childhood. Picture it, a quiet life in this little town called Combray. It's all very nostalgic, you know? And he's super close with his mom. But then, on what seems like a totally ordinary day, something extraordinary happens. Proust actually gives this whole experience a name, involuntary memory. And we've got to be super clear here. This is not just you thinking, oh hey, that smell reminds me of grandma's house. No. This is the past rushing back at you, totally complete, so powerfully that you feel like you are literally there again. For just a split second, the past is the present.
And for a narrator, the key to unlocking all this is a little shell-shaped cake called a madeleine. He dips it into his tea, and the second he tastes it, bam! It all comes flooding back. His entire childhood in Combray, the feelings, the people, even the way the light hit the walls in his room. It's wild. A simple taste triggers this complete resurrection of his past. So, as our narrator gets older, he takes this newfound idea, this search for a hidden, powerful truth, and he applies it to the next great mystery in his life, love. He's trying to find a connection with someone that feels just as real, just as deep as that memory of his childhood. And right away, he runs into a major conflict. You see, on one side, you've got his dream of love. It's all wrapped up in his first crush, a girl named Gilberte, who he's built up into this perfect, almost godlike figure. But then he sees the reality of love by watching this guy, Charles Swann. And Swann's love for a woman named Odette, oh man, it's a total mess. It's obsessive, it's jealous, it's just painful. It's the ultimate showdown between fantasy and the cold, hard facts of a real relationship. And this is where he learns a really crucial early lesson. It turns out, we don't just fall in love with a person. We fall in love with the idea of them, with the story we've constructed about them in our own heads. It's a pretty tough pill to swallow, right? And I bet it's something a lot of us can relate to.
All right, so love turned out to be kind of an illusion. What's next? Well, our narrator pivots. He sets his sights on a new obsession, breaking into the high society of Paris. He's absolutely convinced that this world, this glamorous, exclusive world, that's where he'll find real meaning.
And can you guess what he finds? Yep, it's the exact same pattern all over again. The fantasy is all about these glittering parties and famous, important people. But the reality? Well, he gets in and he finds out that these aristocrats he looked up to are, honestly, kind of petty and boring and just a huge letdown. Turns out the magic wasn't in the room, it was all in his head. I mean, think about it. He worked so hard to get into this exclusive club, only to realize there was nothing of any real value inside. The glamour he was chasing was just an empty shell. Okay, so now we arrive at what is probably the most intense relationship in the narrator's entire life. His obsession with a young woman named Albertine. This relationship becomes the ultimate test of everything he thinks he's learned about love, illusion, and control. And this whole thing plays out like a classic tragedy. It kicks off with total infatuation, right? But that quickly spirals into this toxic, destructive jealousy. He becomes so possessive, he basically tries to imprison her. And of course, she leaves him. But then, the final blow, she dies unexpectedly. He's left with absolutely nothing, except his memories and a whole lot of regret. This devastating loss forces him to finally face that lesson he learned way back at the beginning. But this time, it's not just an idea. It has real, tragic consequences. He finally gets it. He wasn't obsessed with Albertine, the actual person. He was obsessed with his idea of her, a character he literally invented in his own mind, and then tried to control. The painful truth is, he never really knew her at all.
So years go by. Our narrator has been away for a long time, and honestly, he feels pretty lost. He feels like his life has been a total waste. And then he returns to Paris, to the society he once knew. He's older, and he quickly realizes that the world he left behind is not the one he's come back to.
And what he sees just floors him. Time has been absolutely ruthless. The people he knew are now old, almost unrecognizable. The social ladder he was so desperate to climb, it's been completely kicked over. It's this incredibly sobering moment where he sees that time is the great destroyer of everything we think is solid. Beauty, status, power, all of it.
So, right at this moment, when he's convinced his life has been a complete and utter failure, it happens again. Just like with the Madeleine. A series of new involuntary memories. Tripping on an uneven paving stone. The clink of a spoon against a plate. These little things trigger a final, massive, life-changing epiphany.
And in that flash of insight, the first piece of the puzzle falls into place. He finally understands the problem he's been fighting his entire life. Simply put, time destroys everything. It's the enemy. It wears everything down to dust.
But, and this is the crucial but, those moments of involuntary memory, like the taste of that Madeleine, they prove something incredible. They prove that the past isn't really gone forever. It can be brought back. It can be made real again, even if just for a second.
And this is the final mind-blowing realization. If memory can bring a moment back from the dead, then art, a book, a painting, a song, art is the one thing that can capture that moment and make it last forever. Art is how we defeat time.
And that leads to the novel's brilliant, beautiful, circular ending. Our narrator finally realizes what his purpose is. It's to sit down and write the very book that we've just been reading. The book itself becomes the solution to the problem that it spends thousands of pages wrestling with. It's just perfect.
So, if we had to boil this whole massive thing down to one sentence, what would it be? It's the story of a man who realizes that even though life is short and time destroys everything, we have two incredibly powerful weapons to fight back with: the lightning-in-a-bottle power of memory and the everlasting power of art.
And that brings us to a final question for you. If you could take one of those involuntary memories from your own life, a taste, a smell, a song that brings it all rushing back, and preserve it forever in a work of art, what moment would you choose? What piece of your own lost time is so important that it's worth saving forever?